Hello, this is Austin Fangman for Team2, and this is our final project presentation focusing on the topics of communication and conflict. To highlight these themes with a real-world example, we'll be discussing a situation that happened at Nolan's work involving scheduling that was not rolled out as clearly or effectively as it could have. We will examine this situation and provide recommendations for what could have been done to reach a more satisfactory outcome for all who were involved. People in leadership positions are tasked with coming up with solutions to wide-reaching problems, and their solutions will have real-world ramifications for not only themselves, but of the employees they manage as well. That's why it's so important to communicate well and often with the people you are leading. This did not happen in the situation at Nolan's work. To describe the challenge at hand briefly, leadership rolled out a schedule change to the product line that Nolan is a part of from a 410 schedule to a 980 schedule. The change was only discussed in closed-door meetings with the leadership's inner circle and spread from there in rumors until, in a regular meeting, Nolan's team was told they had 2 weeks to shift their schedules to accommodate an additional Friday of support every 2 weeks. This change was then reversed via email, but only for certain groups with no clear reason why. 1 month later, Nolan's group was told they were not providing adequate support and that some of the team would actually need to change to a 980 schedule. This back and forth was a source of conflict and uncertainty for the employees involved and could have been handled more gracefully. As will be discussed later in our presentation, proper communication for the changes, as well as justification for them, would have gone a long way toward making this rollout much smoother. Issues such as scheduling have major impact on people's lives, and it's paramount that the changes be made with care and communicated effectively to lessen the amount of unproductive conflict. I'll now pass it to Nolan to discuss further.
Thanks, Austin. There are 2 ways I would like to analyze the rollout of the schedule change in an organizational behavior context. First, if we view the situation in the communication process model, the work center director would be the sender. The message would be the schedule change from 410 to a 980 schedule, and the receiver would be all the people inside the scope of this change. So that would include the operations and production personnel and the various support organizations. Several areas where this process may have been incomplete is in the encoding, channels of communication, and noise experienced by the receiver. The message was encoded in verbal discussions with a select few individuals in a closed-door meeting. Formal written communication channels were not used to broadcast this information, such as an email or public announcement. Team leads were given minimal information on the change and were not trained to answer questions in staff meetings. The receiver had a significant amount of noise in the form of rumors and speculation, and unclear expectations from the other departments. The second way we can view the situation is from an organizational political perspective. In this framework, we define the perception of organizational politics as the degree which individuals in an organization perceive that power is held and used by leadership. If you're familiar with the Scott Adams Dilbert cartoon, many of the comics use the tensions of perceived power held by the pointy-haired boss to illustrate frustrations in working in a highly political environment. In their article, Perceptions of Organizational Politics, a meta-analysis of theoretical antecedents, Glucka and colleagues discuss how changes affect the organization politics in an office. I found their comments on how individuals' ability to participate in and affect change relevant to this scenario. Building on the article, the textbook lists multiple uncertainty triggers that lead to increased perception of organizational politics. The listed uncertainty triggers have been applied to this scenario, with the trigger on the left and the application on the right. One interesting pattern in this situation can be linked to the schedule chain missing a goal or objective that's tied to data which prompted the change. If an objective had been communicated, the degree of uncertainty would be greatly reduced. According to Glucka and colleagues, as a group increases the perception of organizational politics, group members have increased task and job ambiguity with a lower sense of self-control and equality. I've seen this firsthand in my daily interactions with different groups. In my recent experience, individuals from Everywhere from middle management to operators have not known until late in the afternoon on Thursdays if production is going to continue on Friday or not. Additionally, there have been subtle increases in us versus them mentality when deadlines and resources are negotiated. Going forward, Dustin will conclude this presentation by recommending alternative ways this scenario may have been approached to improve communication and political outcomes. Thank you.
Thanks, Nolan. The situation at Nolan's workplace could have been handled much more smoothly, but with the lack of effective communication, it turned into a big ordeal. I will discuss 8 things that you can do to improve your communication skills according to an article from Harvard. Number 1, be clear and concise. It's beneficial to clearly define the objectives and desired goals to your audience. The leadership team did announce what the desired outcome is by going to a 980 schedule. They did not provide any clear details on why the decision was being made. Number 2, prepared ahead of time. Brainstorming potential questions and preparing how you will respond to criticisms to try to anticipate the unexpected. Also, providing a 2-week notice for a change in shift that affects employees' personal lives was not enough time. Number 3, be mindful of nonverbal communication. This may not be applicable for email communications, but for face to face announcements or meetings, our facial expressions, gestures, and body language can and often do say more than words. Number 4, watch your tone. How you say something can be just as important as what you say. By reading your communications once or twice while thinking about tone as well as message, this can give you a chance to see how others will react to the message and possibly avoid disagreements and conflict. Number 5, practicing practice active listening. Listening is just as important as speaking when it deals with communicating successfully. Clearing your mind of distractions, judgments, and counter arguments can help ensure that you understand the entire message. Number 6, build your emotional intelligence. Communication is built upon a foundation of emotional intelligence. Empathizing with employees can make a difficult conversation easier. You may still have to deliver bad news, but actively listening to their perspective and showing that you understand their feelings can go a long way toward avoiding misunderstandings. Number 7, develop a workplace communication strategy. Your strategy should incorporate who gets what message and when. This ensures that everyone receives the correct information at the right time. From Nolan's situation, there were so many back and forth with certain groups in the company about the shift in schedules that a planned out communication strategy would have saved a lot of headaches and uncertainty. Number 8, create a positive organizational culture. In a positive work environment, one founded on transparency, trust, empathy, and open dialogue, communications in general will be easier and more effective. I do understand that leadership is not required to tell employees everything about their decisions and reasonings, but if you are in a company that claims to care about employees and their work life balance, then it's important to have consideration in how they communicate with everyone. Trust is important in a work relationship, but is fragile and can be violated in many ways, even unwittingly. From Nolan's situation, a violation in trust happened when they were ordered to switch to the 980 schedule with little notice, but it also was revoked and then reinstated with little to no communication in certain groups. Broken trust can have effects like decreased employee morale, increases in conflict and tension, high employee turnover, and lack of leadership credibility. Figure 8.6 from the textbook shows Rayna's 7-step model for rebuilding trust. The recommendations are as an upward staircase to show how those must work their way back from distrust, one step at a time to regain what they have lost. Number 1, acknowledge what caused trust to be compromised. Employees like Nolan trusted their leaders for guidance and clarity, but when they were ordered to switch to a 980 schedule out of nowhere, this caused a big conflict within their group. Number 2, allow feelings and emotions to be discussed constructively. After the schedule change announcements, there were strong feelings and criticisms about the change among the employees, and as someone in a leadership position, hearing and acknowledging the concerns of everyone can help them understand the feelings and frustrations from the abrupt change. Number 3, get up and give support to others in the process. Number 4, reframe the experience and shift from being victim to taking a look at options and choices. This might be a little difficult in Nolan's situation, as it did not seem like there were many options to choose from, if any. But brainstorming potential options to the leadership team can't hurt. Number 5, take responsibility. Ask, what did I do or not do that caused this to happen. After the backlash and conflict from the schedule changes, this would be a good opportunity for Nolan's leadership team to take a step back and try to figure out what really happened. Number 6, forgive yourself and others. For those that admit that they made a mistake and are working to rebuild the trust, try to be able to forgive them and also give yourself in those situations, even when it can seem difficult. And lastly, number 7, let go and move on. This may also be difficult to do, especially if you were not able to get the results you wanted. But if you want the work relationship to become better, then, then being able to let go and move on is required. It's crucial for organizations to recognize the importance of building and maintaining trust among their employees to foster a healthy and productive work environment. In conclusion, a lot of frustration from Nolan's situation could have been avoided if effective communication was applied when announcing the change in schedule. Conflict at work is unavoidable, but the key is to manage conflicts constructively, encourage open communication, and create a culture that values diversity of thought while fostering respectful and healthy conflict resolution. And lastly, investing in building and repairing trust at work can yield significant long term benefits for both individuals and the organization as a whole. That's the end of our presentation, and thank you for watching.